Hey guys, welcome back to 1776 or Bust. So on the table you have two fantastic firearms, that of course being the Sig P320 and the Walther PPQ. Now, just to kind of give you an idea why these two guns are out tonight was because somebody on one of my other videos had asked me if I could do just a quick comparison video for them. So I said, okay, yeah, no problem. You know, if you give me a request and I can do it, then I definitely will do it. Now, both of these guns are fantastic firearms. There's really so many more positives than there are negatives for either one of these firearms that honestly, if you were going to go out and buy them, you couldn't go wrong with either one. Now, obviously, there are pros and cons to both, and it's really going to be based upon what you like and what you personally feel is the better fit for you. Now, obviously, I am a self-avowed fan of the Walther PPQ. I find it to be one of the best guns on the market right now. However, I will tell you now that I've spent more time with the P320, including the CZ P10, I'm going to tell you guys that my love for the Walther may be waning just a little bit, and you know, maybe I'll make a video on that soon enough, but whatever. Now, in regards to both of the guns, both have some fine qualities of each. Now, the PPQ, obviously, and by the way, the guns are safety checked, magazines are empty, nothing in the chamber. Now, the PPQ is just a fantastic gun overall. The ergonomics are excellent on this handgun, so if you're a small, medium, or large hand, any of those three will probably work effectively for you. Now, of course, if you have those monstrosity hands like Big Johnson does, you may not necessarily feel the perfection of the grip that most people will. But, you know, again, it's going to be really up to you to decide how you really fit the gun, so to speak. Now, in regards to some of the features, again, you have a little bit of a hump back here. You can change all the back straps. The gun weighs about 24 and change ounces, so it's not extremely heavy, but it's not the lightest gun on the market either. Now, the trigger pull for this one's coming in just a hair under 5 pounds right now. My FDE is just about 4.5 pounds in regards to the trigger pull. Now, the trigger is probably the best feature of the gun, so we'll start with that one. Again, it's a fairly smooth pre-cocked striker, and I will tell you, it's just an excellent trigger. Now, there's your take-up, so it is a pretty long take-up, but once you hit the wall, there really is no wiggle room whatsoever, and the trigger breaks. It's a very short break, a very smooth break, and then here's your reset. So there's your reset, very positive, pushes your hand out considerably, and of course, well, I wouldn't say considerably, pushes your finger out enough to give you that good feeling that it is working. Now, of course, with the reset, here's your second strike. Again, just a short, phenomenal trigger. It's smooth, guys. There's no other way to say it. It's not the lightest trigger, but it is extremely smooth. In regards to some of the features and controls, again, your slide locks or slide releases, whatever you want to call them, are ambi, so they are on both sides, and your mag release can be switched to the other side, but other than that, that's basically the only ambi feature. This is just a switchable feature. Now, of course, a lot of the complaints about the PPQ is its snappiness. Now, some say it's the high bore height. It could be, maybe, maybe not. I just think for whatever reason, the PPQ is probably one of the snappier 9mm on the market. Now, is it a 10mm? No. 357 Sig? No. But it is considerably snappier compared to, let's say, the 320 or some of the other great firearms out there right now, like a P10, like a Steyr M9, the VP9, so on and so forth. Now, in regards to the slide lock, a lot of the complaints really deal with the fact that when people are shooting this gun, because the slide lock is so far back, a lot of people will have a tendency to ride the slide, and as a result, they're holding down that slide lock so it doesn't lock back. And that seems to be a very common problem with a lot of the Walthers. I've seen videos where people are having that issue. I've had the issue once in a while, but what you're probably going to have to look at is trying to adjust where your thumb is going to sit. Obviously, when you put your hand in, you have the option of taking this left hand and potentially riding it a little bit underneath there and letting your thumb sit on the top of that, so you get sort of that kind of hold to it. Some people might actually drop it down a little bit lower, so they're riding beneath it and then just adjusting their secondary hand here. For me, I tend to just ride it just like that, and yeah, every once in a while I'll hit it, but for the most part I don't have that issue. That's usually for most people who are new to the gun, and then once you get the feel for it, you get adjusted and you start to do a little bit better job with that. Another major complaint probably about the PPQ is the lack of decent sights when it comes out of the box. Now, of course, some people might say that the Glocks have the worst sights. I would tell you that the PPQ doesn't have the great sights either. You know, they're plastic sights. They're not bad, but they're just not that great. So why do they do that? Probably because most people will go out and buy their own sights, and that's what I tend to do anyway. So for me, it's really a negligible fact. Now, in regards to everything else, the slide, it's fairly simple to rack. There's no issues there. You have your front serrations, your rear serrations. So if you're into that whole idea of doing press checks or something like that, then you can use that. I don't tend to do that, so it really doesn't matter to me either way. Picatinny rail, so you can put whatever you want on the bottom of that. So, you know, basically all the modern features that most modern polymer striker-fired pistols have. So other than that, it's a great gun. I absolutely love the gun. The ergos to me are probably still the best of any gun, with the exception of maybe a SAUER M9, because I think those are just phenomenal as well. And I'll tell you, the CZ P10 is also very good as well. Now off to the 320. Let me put this to the side here. Let's put that out of the way. So the Sig P320 is also another great gun. Now the magazine is loaded. Oh my God, loaded magazine in a gun. But it chamber's empty, obviously, so there's nothing in there. So the gun is safe. Now, obviously the P320, fantastic firearm. It's getting a lot of people very excited to own these guns. I know I am. Now, obviously, one of the biggest features about the 320, if this really matters to you, is going to be definitely the, I guess you can say, the convertibility of it. In other words, because you can remove the whole trigger assembly and everything out, and that's technically the gun, you have the option of increasing the size of the grip, increasing the size of the slide and the barrel, you know, different types of rounds, 40, 45s, you know, whatever it is that you're looking for. So you have those options to do that with the Sig P320, if I could spit it out. But that may not even be the best feature of it. Now, I will tell you that this gun shoots extremely well. It's a very accurate handgun. When you pick it up, it does feel a little top heavy, because I will tell you, the slide and the barrel are a pretty hefty piece of steel. Now, in regards to the function, again, the slide is extremely easy to actuate. No issues like that. Again, very positive. And I'm really doing that for the humble marksman so you can see that. So there you go. See, it goes right back into place, no issue. But anyway, getting back to the gun. The gun is fantastic in every way. Fit and finish is excellent. No issues with it. It has never failed. By the way, neither is the PPQ. No failures at all. And, you know, everything is really nice. The controls are set up pretty well. I know some people still hit this. I don't really hit that with the tab. I guess you probably could, but it just seems my thumb falls a little bit short from where the tab is set. So that's actually pretty good for me. Now the tabs for the slide locks or slide releases are ambidextrous. The mag release is not, so you'd have to switch that over. And of course the takedown lever is also not ambi, it's just on one side. But you know, I'm pretty sure left-handed people can handle that. Now, of course, from the factory, this came with the night sights. Sig night sights are great. Absolutely love them. Extremely bright. Very, very nice picture when you're shooting. And again, just a great job by Sig. Now, of course, when you're shooting the gun, ergonomically, is it as good as a PPQ or a P10 or SAUER or a VP9? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on your cup of tea. Now, of course, for me, I actually like the ergos of the gun. It's a little bit more straight up. You don't have that big hump in the back like you do with the PPQ and some other firearms. My only gripe would be that when they cut this beaver tail out, it would have been nicer if they would have actually cut it in a little bit further and raised the beaver tail so that you can actually get a little bit higher underneath that gun. Does it really mean much? Probably not, but it would be nice to have that ability to do that. Of course, it doesn't, but the beaver tail does, I think, help in relation to the recoil. So you may think because it is a top-heavy gun with a high slide height that when you shoot, you're going to feel a lot of recoil impulse. On this gun, you just don't, and I think a lot of it has to do just way it's balanced, and on top of that with this beaver tail in the back. So I think that's a great deal for this gun. Trigger-wise, great trigger. Now, this is not the stock trigger. This is actually the Apex 2.0. Basically, it's supposedly supposed to reduce the weight of the trigger by 2 pounds on a Sig P320. I have not found that. I've actually found that it only lowers it by about 1 pound and some change. Now, just to show you the trigger, this is the take-up on the trigger. Let me just make sure. That's a take-up. So it's a lot shorter than the PPQ. But when you do pull the trigger, it is a heavier trigger, and you can definitely feel that. So here's the trigger pull. So it is a pull. It is a little bit heavier. It goes further back. Again, this is not the stock trigger, but it is better than the stock in my opinion. And here's your reset. So it's a longer travel for the reset. It's pretty audible, pretty tactile. But it's not as pushed forward as, let's say, the PPQ is, or even say the P10 or the VP9 or any of the other guns I've mentioned before. But what you will notice is that it is a fairly short reset. and then your trigger breaks. So the trigger length from front to back is longer than the PPQ, but it is extremely smooth. I am really happy with that improvement on this gun. I will definitely say the stock trigger is not as good as this one with the Apex in it. But overall, you can't really go wrong with either one of the firearms. They're excellent firearms. You know, I know there was some controversy briefly about the P320 not being drop safe, but unfortunately that is just a rumor, which was to be unfounded and untrue. As a matter of fact, if I can find that link that was emailed to me from KS today, I'll put that down below and then you can read it for yourself. Overall, great guns, guys. If you're looking for either one of them, you're really not gonna regret getting either one. If I had to choose, which I don't, it would be a very tough choice. I will tell you, I've been spending a lot of time with this 320 as opposed to my PPQ, and I'm gonna be honest, guys, I'm starting to lean more that way than this way. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. As always, I hope you're having a great night, staying safe out there, and freedom is never free.